everyone, it's Taylor here. Today we'll be creating this festive New Year's card using lots of sparkle and shine. It all starts with the Party Popper layering stencil that consists of 2 different layers to create that confetti look in the background. It's made really easy with the alignment squares on the left and right side. I'll also be using these stitched rectangle stacklets, the second largest size in the set. And the foil I'm using is called Gold Shattered Glass from ThermoWeb. It creates that really shiny special look for this New Year's card. I'll be applying the foil over the top of Transfer Gel Duo, and I'll also be using Oreo ink through one layer of the stencil. To apply both of those products, I'm using Nuvo blending sponges, and I'll be doing some embossing, so I have my Versamark black embossing powder and my powder tool. I'll also be applying gold drip drops, which are perfect for this New Year's project, using my Embelly Jelly pick and place tool. I have the On Repeat New Year's stamp with the coordinating die that lines up with those alignment squares and easily cuts 8 New Year banners that coordinate with the On the Block Happy stamp and coordinating shadow die. I'm starting with a piece of sugar cube cardstock and the 2 layers of the Party Popper stencil. I'm going to adhere my cardstock to my grid paper placemat and then place the first layer of that stencil within the 6x6 opening printed on the grid paper. I'll be using Oreo ink and a blending sponge to apply that. I don't love getting dark black ink on my blender brushes, so I choose to apply the black ink with a blending sponge. For the second layer of the stencil, I'm going to apply pixie spray on the back because I don't want any of that gel medium to get underneath the cracks and crevices of my stencil. So I'm placing that down within the 6x6 opening to make sure it aligns with the initial design, and then I'm going to place some of the gel down onto my grid paper placemat and pick it up with the blending sponge until I can sponge over the entire design and get a really light application. It dries a lot faster than applying the gel medium with a palette knife and allows you to move on to your next step a little bit faster. So I was happy that this experiment worked when I tried applying with the blending sponge. After waiting for the transfer gel to dry, I'm placing the gold shattered foil over the top with the pretty side facing up, and then putting that through the mink in order to allow that foil to adhere to the design that we sponged with the transfer gel. You can see how pretty that turned out, but I will show you up close here. There are some flecks of foil that stick to the pixie spray, and I'm just going to use my adhesive eraser to get rid of those off of my white background. Now we can die cut that piece out with the stitched rectangle stacklets. I'm finding an area that I like the best and just putting that through the die cut machine to cut out a patterned rectangle. And then we can continue on and do our embossing of the word happy. I have the On the Block Happy stamp, and I decided to try embossing on our gold foil paper, which I haven't tried before, and I wasn't sure if it would work out, but I really loved the results. So I conditioned the cardstock with the powder tool, and then I stamped with the Versamark ink and placed my black embossing powder over the top. I didn't have too many issues with the embossing powder sticking to the areas I didn't want, but I did take a paintbrush and just get some of that off that was leftover residue. And then I heated it to get a beautiful shiny black over the already shiny gold cardstock. Next, I'll use my Sidekick machine to die cut the word happy using the coordinating shadow die. And then I want to create a gold layer to match the gold sentiment. So I'm taking some leftover of that gold paper and cutting it to fit behind my patterned Party Popper piece. So that's what my card front is going to look like. I can adhere that with my Scotch tape runner and then add some foam squares to the back to give it a little bit of extra dimension, and I'll pop that up over the top of an Oreo card base. Then I plan to put the happy word in the center, but we'll do our last step, which is embossing the words New Year. This is the On Repeat New Year stamp. So if you wanted to mass produce this, you could have 8 New Year banners quickly and easily by embossing these all together and then cutting them out in one pass through the machine. I didn't worry too much about my blocks on the sides being all filled in with embossing powder because I'll still have enough that I can line that up with the coordinating die. After embossing that, I'm going to take a clean cloth and just buff off that extra powder residue from the powder tool, and then line that up with the coordinating die and send it through my small Sizzix Sidekick machine to get those 8 different banners. Now I decided to do something a little bit different this time. We do have our adhesive strips, but they are currently out of stock, and so I wanted to use my foam squares to create small strips of adhesive for the back of these die cuts. I'm adhering those down to the front of the card, and you can see how this one's almost finished, but then I thought, why not add some extra bling with the gold drip drops to coordinate with that gold foil. So I'm adding a few drops of my Tombow liquid adhesive and then using my Embelly Jelly pick and place tool to pick up those drip drops and place them down. I hope you enjoyed today's video and you're as excited as I am to ring in a new year. You can find all of these products at the Tailored Expressions web store at tailoredexpressions.com.